The night was quiet. I walked the side streets, staying away from the crowds. Near a closed bookstore, someone stepped into my path.
Sorry.
A quick smile, awkward, tired. I nodded and kept walking. Another face in the city. Another night. Later, I returned to the halls under the old station. The master ordered a feeding. New captures were locked in the holding cells. Voices echoed through the stone corridors as the others bragged about their hunts. The master stood near the end of the hall, impatient.
Check the blood.
I moved without a word. The cages lined the walls, bodies slumped inside. Some begged, some cursed. I kept walking until the last cage. He was there. The same boy from the street. No smile now. Only fear. His hands pressed the bars, breathing sharp in the cold. He didn't recognize me yet, but I remembered, and the choice already tightened around my chest. I stayed frozen at the open cage door. The boy didn't move at first. He sat against the far wall, breathing hard, shoulders tense, ready for the worst. The stone around us was cold and sharp, the halls beyond echoing with distant footsteps. I tilted my head slightly, glancing down the corridor. No guards nearby yet. I stepped back from the door, leaving it wide open. No words, no tricks. He stared at me, disbelief flickering in his eyes. 1 foot forward, slow. Then another. He crossed the threshold with a sudden breath, tense as a drawn bowstring. The master's voice shouted somewhere deeper in the tunnels. I led him into the shadows before he could hesitate. I knew the ways the guards rarely walked. He stumbled once but kept moving, matching my pace now. I stopped near a cracked wall, a sliver of night beyond it, the emergency exit. I pushed him towards the broken gap. He paused once, looking back, confused, frightened. Trusting me, a stranger he shouldn't trust. The master's footsteps pounded closer. Without a word, he slipped through the gap and disappeared into the night. I leaned against the wall, closing my eyes for a brief moment. The halls behind me roared with shouts. They would know soon. They would hunt him, and they would hunt whoever let him go. The master's anger shook the underground halls. Blood stained the stones by the entrance when I returned. A warning. The others stood in rows, heads down, silent. I blended into the line, hands loose at my sides, mask steady. The master stalked past us, robe dragging across the ground.
Someone freed my blood prize.
No one spoke. No one breathed too loudly. He struck the nearest hunter across the mouth with the back of his hand. Another reminder. I kept my head low, steps careful, as the master's gaze burned across the crowd.
Bring him back, and bring the traitor to me.
The orders spun outward. New hunters sent across the city. Tracking spells carved into broken walls. No one safe. Not even among us. As the crowd broke apart, I slipped into the dark passageways leading back to the surface. Above the city, normal life continued. Cars passed. Neon lights buzzed. Humans walked without knowing how close death brushed against them. I pulled my jacket tighter and disappeared into the noise. Behind me, in the blood-stained halls, the hunt had begun, and I was already marked. The streets emptied faster than usual tonight. The boy moved quick through the alleys, jacket pulled tight, glancing over his shoulder. 2 hunters broke off from the crowd, stalking him through the gaps between buildings. I dropped from the fire escape and cut across the lot, keeping low behind rusted fences. When he slipped into the back lot near the old hardware store, they closed in. I reached him first. The first hunter lunged. I hit him square in the chest, sending him sprawling. The second hesitated just long enough for me to grab the boy's arm and drag him out of the alley. We ran without stopping until the sounds of the city swallowed us whole. The rooftop stretched ahead, broken and slick from the night's cold breath. We moved fast, jumping across gaps where the buildings sagged inward. Below us, the hunters spread through the streets, searching. They were getting closer. The boy tripped on a loose panel but caught himself before falling. He wasn't fast enough yet. He didn't know how close the blood price on his head was growing. I signaled for him to keep low, leading across a narrow ledge toward the abandoned train yard. Rust covered everything here, broken rails, crushed signs, wrecked cars piled into forgotten corners. We ducked into the shadows, breathing hard. The boy crouched behind a fallen beam, his chest rising and falling fast. Footsteps clattered somewhere behind us, closer than I liked. 2 hunters crossed into the yard, moving slow. The boy tightened his fists, ready to fight without thinking. I reached out sharply, stopping him before he gave us away. We waited, still as stone. The hunters passed without seeing, for now. I jerked my head towards the far fence. He nodded, understanding. We slipped deeper into the ruins, the night swallowing our footprints as we moved towards the next fight we both knew was coming. The train yard narrowed ahead, boxed in by collapsed fencing and rusted towers. We sprinted through the wreckage, slipping between broken cargo crates and twisted steel. Our breaths came sharp and fast, misting in the cold night. A hunter's shadow flickered across the edge of the far lot. He had seen us. The boy glanced at me, panic flashing behind his tired eyes. I didn't speak, just moved faster. We vaulted over a pile of broken pallets and crashed into the side door of an abandoned loading dock. It groaned under the impact but gave way, spilling us into the dark interior. The boy dropped into a crouch, scanning the shadows. I pressed the door shut, jamming a broken pipe through the handle. It wouldn't hold long, but maybe long enough. For now, the hunter's footsteps faded into the empty night beyond. We were trapped inside, but at least it bought us minutes we desperately needed. Inside the warehouse, the air smelled of dust and old oil. The boy sagged against a rusted barrel, wiping sweat and dirt from his face. His hands shook, not from weakness, but from adrenaline still burning through his veins. I stayed near the door, keeping watch. He looked up at me, the question heavy in his gaze.
Why are you helping me?
I didn't answer, didn't move. The silence stretched between us, tense, fragile, real. He nodded once like he understood anyway. For the first time since the hunt began, the space between us didn't feel like a battlefield. It felt like something else. Something dangerous in its own way. We couldn't stay long. The hunters would double back, smelling the trail we left behind. The boy followed as I moved through the warehouse's back halls, careful not to stir the dust. We crossed into the broken stairwells, avoiding the open spaces where the light could catch us. Every step echoed louder than I liked. Outside, the city buzzed with muted life, horns, engines, a distant siren. It felt like a different world, a world where people lived without knowing how close death waited under their streets. We climbed to the second floor, finding a shattered balcony that overlooked the narrow alleys. From here, we could see the broken heartbeat of the city, flickering lights, sharp corners, endless escape routes. If we moved smart, we could vanish again. The first warning came as a scent. Sharp, rotten, wrong. I spun toward the stairwell just as the hunter appeared, fast, silent, smiling. The boy backed against the wall, fists raised without thinking. I met the hunter halfway, slamming him against the rusted railing. Another hunter burst through the broken walls, snarling. I caught the swing meant for the boy and turned it into a crash against the floor. The boy didn't run. He stayed, grabbing a loose pipe and swinging hard at the second hunter's knee. Together we broke free, bolting across the open balcony as more shadows surged up the stairs. The city opened wide before us again. No time to plan, only time to run. We slipped into the deeper parts of the industrial zone, forgotten roads and empty factories lost to the city's sprawl. The boy moved with me now without hesitation, matching pace, matching silence. We found a boarded-up storage building and forced our way inside. Collapsed shelves and shattered crates littered the space. He dropped behind an overturned table, breath shallow. I crouched near the broken window, scanning the night. The hunters would be close, their anger bleeding into the air around us. But for now, the city hit us better than any wall could. Sometimes broken things offered the best shelter. He spoke when the worst of the night had passed.
What are you?
His voice didn't carry anger, only exhausted curiosity. I didn't answer right away, didn't owe him explanations, but I owed him truth. Not all of it. Enough. I met his gaze across the broken room. Not enemy, not monster, just something made to survive. The boy looked away, nodding once, accepting without really understanding. It was enough for tonight. The city woke restless. Trucks rumbled through cracked streets, the scent of fresh humans mixed with the metallic rot of the underground. We moved before the hunters could tighten the net, crossed the old rail yard, slipping between the skeletal remains of engines long abandoned. The boy tripped once, caught himself. I slowed just enough for him to catch up. No words, only movement, only survival. The fences ahead broke open into the forgotten fields beyond the city's reach. We just had to make it. One more mile, maybe two. Freedom bleeding across the horizon like the slow birth of a new world. They caught us near the edge of the fields. 2 hunters, maybe more behind them. They moved fast, cutting off escape routes. I pushed the boy behind me, planting my feet hard into the dirt. The first one lunged. I slammed into him, bones snapping under my hands. The second slashed a blade across my side. Pain flared hot but distant. We crossed the final broken fence just as the first true light broke over the hills. No alarms, no shouts. The boy limped slightly, blood dried on his hands and jacket. I kept my pace steady beside him. Behind us, the city rotted in its own hunger. Ahead of us, the world stretched wide and unforgiving. He glanced at me once, eyes heavy but clear. No questions left between us, only survival. And whatever came next. The farmhouse we found was barely standing. Caved roof, broken windows, dust thick enough to choke on. It was perfect. The boy dropped onto the porch steps, head bowed between his knees. I stood near the doorway, scanning the empty fields. No hunters, no master, no chains. The boy looked up at me finally. There was no fear left in his face, only tired hope. I nodded once, a new beginning, built not on trust, not on fate, but on the simple, brutal truth that we had survived when the world said we shouldn't. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment for more inspiring stories and content.